If there's one thing I can proudly boast about in the 22 years I've been alive on this hellhole of a planet, it's that I'm pretty good at giving advice. The problem is, alright, no one ever actually comes to me for advice, so I really have to give it I have to give all this advice unsolicited. I take that back, actually. There are people that go to me for advice, but I don't want to talk to those people. I want to give advice to people for YouTube views. I actually need advice on how to get these other people to stop talking to me. So, yeah, my name's Dewmonic Abyss. There's a little section on Reddit called the Am I the Asshole subreddit, and that's a subreddit full of people feeling misery, regret, guilt, remorse, questioning their own sanity, questioning whether or not they are the asshole in these situations where they vent about the woes in their life to a bunch of strangers on the internet so they can give their own unsolicited, 9 out of 10 times horrible advice. So, let's do this. Let's lock and load. Am I the asshole for refusing to make my husband another cup of coffee after he purposely dropped the first one? Alright? I feel like I'm pretty qualified in answering this question because I am a man that appreciates my caffeine. I live, breathe, and bleed caffeine, whether that be in the form of Mountain Dew Kickstart, Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel, coffee, especially cappuccinos, frappuccinos, frappes, you fucking name it. I've drank it. Sit down and let me give you my words of wisdom here. So, this is the OP, and their story is my female 26, so they're a 26-year-old female. Their husband, who's a 31-year-old male, they woke up in not the mood this morning and told me to make him a cup of coffee before he went to work. I went and made it with extra sugar, just like how he always likes it, but when I handed it to him and he tasted it, he made a face and said, it was too sweet. Alright? I don't know how many teaspoons of sugar this woman put into this cup of coffee. Alright, she's conveniently leaving out that detail. Who fucking knows? He could have poured the whole damn bag into that cup. In that case, yeah, maybe you are the asshole because you didn't make it right. But we're going off this story. I told him this is how he usually has it, but he said he wasn't in a good mood today and told me to make another one. Now, alright. That's where you goofed up, okay? You gotta accept what you have. There's no way this coffee wasn't drinkable. If you're really in this huge rush to get to work, you gotta settle for what you have. If you want it exactly fucking right, you gotta be a man, you gotta step up and make it yourself. Making coffee is a manly art. You goofed up by delegating this artistic craft to someone else. Mind you, I was already 20 minutes late for work. Yeah, fuck that. Alright, if you're 20 minutes late for work, just leave. No way. I told him no, and he already had one, and so just drink it. Yeah, I agree with that. Next thing I knew, he dropped the cup on the floor purposely, in quotation marks, and said that he no longer has it. And I said, go ahead and make another one. Well, no offense, but I think you're a pedophile because your husband is a fucking child. This is not the way a 31-year-old man should be acting. I refused, and then we had an argument, and I just walked out. He texted me a bunch later saying I disrespected him and forced him not to have his daily coffee by acting stubborn and having an attitude. I mean, you could have had an attitude, but based on the context you're providing, yeah, I think he's the one who has the attitude here. He's the one who should go to therapy. Because he's wasting a perfectly good cup of coffee. Just being a little jackass here. Alright, who cares if there's too much sugar? There's never enough sugar. Then reminded me of how much work he's picked and how much time and rest he'd sacrificed in order to help me while I was recovering from the birth of our son. That was just the first week, then I had to get up. Well, you're just doing your standard husbandly duties, alright? There's no this isn't like a give and take, you owe me type deal. You're both doing your own responsibilities, your own duties to keep this family alive. I think it's a little fucking ridiculous. You're expecting your wife to roll out the red carpet for you just because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. You took on that responsibility yourself. You gotta be a man and step up. Take it on the chin. He said I owe him, and that I should have returned at least one of his many favors instead of deciding to ruin his day. And, I can kind of see that having a bad cup of coffee in the morning can ruin someone's day. One time I spilt my coffee on my keyboard. The rest of my evening was fucking ruined. You want to know why? Because it was the best damn cup of coffee I'd ever had. Everything was perfectly mixed. Perfect consistency. Perfect amount of sugar. I put some whipped cream in there. The last bit of my creamer. On fleek. My mouth is beginning to water at the thought of it. But all that was wasted. Drizzled all over my keyboard. Had to replace my keyboard the next day. It's fucking bonkers. I came home and he's here refusing to even look at me. Yeah. Am I the asshole? Should I have just taken 5 minutes to make him another one? Actually, yeah, based on the context here, no, you aren't the asshole. Am I the asshole for making a real-life Pokedex of girls at my university? Now that's a spicy title. So, freshman year of college, I began working on this project casually. I like to keep notes on women I talk to about their favorite things, activities they enjoy, gifts and candy they like, sappy shit like that. I suck at remembering things like that, so I decided to keep a spreadsheet. Honestly, I mean, fair enough if you're creating this spreadsheet and keeping it in your own little personal notes, right? Do what you have to do. People make notes for themselves all the fucking time, even though this is a really nuclear fucking title. The premise of this does not sound bad in the slightest. Eventually, after getting a handful of entries, I offhandedly mentioned it to my friend group. One had the idea that I share it with them so we could all keep new entries as they caught different entries. You made the mistake by mentioning it to your friends, because that's really fucking embarrassing. So this expanded further. Right now, about 40 guys have access to it, and it's mainly the guys in my frat, and the women featured are girls from different sororities. We also added more information, such as, like, where you should take them if you really want to impress them. We don't keep this information for any nefarious or scumbaggy reasons. I mean, honestly, yeah, the premise doesn't sound that bad. It's just keeping the dating scene is like a game, right? Granted, you have to find people you actually fucking connect with, but you gotta be the best version of yourself you can be. In saying that, I mean, you shouldn't sell out and do shit you obviously have no fucking interest in to hook up with girls that really have nothing in common with you. Somehow, a girl who was on the list found out, and she was pissed the fuck off. She was eventually able to trace it back to me, so I assume someone who was simping for her snitched when the Pokedex wasn't... He calls it the fucking Pokedex. When the Pokedex wasn't making the girl like him. Alright, first and foremost, if you're calling this shit the Pokedex, I doubt you're the type of person who's going to be picking up any of these chicks to begin with. And, obviously that's a reasonable thing to be mad over. It's like you're kind of meticulously taking notes on all these different fucking people. When you're looking for a partner, you really got to make that person feel special. I know I'm just preaching on my soapbox here, but yeah, I'm Dewmonic Chad Abyss. So she's pissed off and she made it out to be a guide to hooking up with women when it's most definitely not that. No, that definitely is that. You're using it to help you pick up women. It's just to make impressing them on dates easier. Wait. She made it out to be a guide to hooking up with women. That's it. Yeah, that's a guide to... That's literally it. You're just kind of dancing through hoops. You're jumping through hoops to reword the semantics behind it. That's it. She's made a big deal of this, telling so many girls around campus, and now they're all saying that by the start of the fall semester, none of them will be visiting our fraternity or going to our parties. Now all the guys are mad at me, when I'm not even the one who told girls about the list, and they were all also using the list. I also think it's unfair to say the list was all about sex, when it wasn't at all. I mean, obviously that's your end goal there, you want sex. Edit, I'm not a stalker, there was no information in it that could have been used to hurt someone, only to have a better date, and it isn't about sex, I never used it for just sex. Yeah, the problem is that you decided to share this little Pokedex, quote-unquote Pokedex, with your friends, alright? You gotta make sure you use the Pokedex to the utmost of its full potential, alright? Make sure you have a date secured, and then you pass it on, alright? You pass on the leftovers, and then you're in the clear, alright? Now you just made yourself look like a creep for no reason. Even though your intentions were somewhat fine, based off the context here, you goofed up. You leaked something that should have been kept to yourself. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my boyfriend's meal and simply buying my own? Probably. Alright. You know, that is a pretty, a pretty flamboyant title. Usually the guy should take it upon themselves to buy the meal for himself and his partner. Well, you know, it can go vice versa, right? You take care of each other. I cannot tell which one of us this issue is stemming from. Since we got together 3 years ago, he was full of empty promises. Promises to take me out somewhere beautiful for dinner, which I got super excited about, but never came to fruition. Promises to buy me something beautiful from a designer's shop, which again I was super excited about, but he just never did. I like money, to be fair and square. Who doesn't? If he takes me out for dinner, I sure as hell make sure that I organize a dinner in the near future, and dinner is on me. Wait, okay. So yeah, it's kind of like you're taking turns paying for each other. That's the arrangement you have going on here, which is a pretty good deal. But somehow we have ended up in a confusing dynamic of resentment. That's a bad sign. Horrible. You can't have resentment. Rather than communicate and take turns, he just decides when he does want to pay and when he doesn't want to pay. He will get his wallet out when he does and won't get his wallet out when he doesn't want to. It sounds like a communication problem. Well, actually, yeah, that's what they stated here. Rather than communicate and take turns. I've always just followed his lead, but it's becoming more frustrating. I feel like I've been paying for a lot more than he has recently, and it's causing me to feel a lot of resentment towards him when he simply expects me to pay and doesn't even offer. Yeah, you should agree on it before actually leaving for the restaurant. That way you know what you're getting yourself into. If he tells you you're the one paying, then you're like, and you don't want to pay, then say, you know what, I don't want to go. That's what you do. I recently booked our hotel and transport costs for a mini break for us both. We arrived and we decided to go for a cheap, quick dinner. We both sat waiting for the other to offer to go up and order and pay, but neither of us did. In the end, after the tension had risen for at least a few minutes, I simply told him I was going up to order my food. He told me what he would like, and I told him he can go up after me. It felt like a dick move. I mean, it kinda is a dick move, but like, there isn't like an automatic entitlement for you to pay for his food, and vice versa. It's just kind of a thing people in relationships do because they want to take care of each other. And it looks like that dynamic was broken. It wasn't properly planned out. But I'm just fed up of being forced to pay based on what he decides he should pay for. He has a definite sense of entitlement. When we go to the theater and have booked 2 seats, he will take the seat with the best view. And the same for when we go for dinner. He will hog the shared armrest when we are on a flight. He'll put himself above me, and it's little things like this that make me feel worthless. Worthless, you say? I'd say feeling worthless is a bit of an extreme statement for these very minute things. He definitely isn't a gentleman for sure. He doesn't have a sense of chivalry. But realistically, in this case, I think you should be talking to him about this. Actually addressing these problems when they arise, instead of complaining about it on Reddit. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for his food? I'd say it's half and half, honestly. Actually communicate with him, and if it doesn't work out, and you're unhappy in the relationship, then you dump him. Notice how in the title of this Reddit thread you called him your boyfriend. He's not your husband. Just find someone else that you're more compatible with. Those are 3 shining examples from the Reddit Am I the Asshole subreddit. Honestly, yeah, you know, I think this is a pretty interesting discussion to have. There could be some fun topics. I was not expecting the one about this motherfucker out there catching girls and indexing them in his little Pokedex. But, yeah, you know, as a certified asshole myself, I can give pretty solid advice on whether or not you're being the asshole. So if you guys want me to do more videos like this, you know, just comment down below. I appreciate your feedback. I really do. Some of you motherfuckers have gotten lazy and stopped commenting. But, my name is Dewmonic the Best. Peace the fuck out. Like and subscribe.